All right, so lesson, whatever you want number is, we'll be talking about the G chord, the C chord, the D chord, the E minor chord, and then we're also going to go into the E chord, the A chord, and the B7 chord, and back to the E chord. Okay, so we're going to be discussing chord changes, but remember when you're working on your chord, G chord, I like to play it this way most of the time. My little finger on the high E string, my ring finger on the low E string, and the middle finger on the fifth fret, fifth string, second fret. But a lot of people play it ring finger on the high E, middle finger on the low E, and index on the A string. Nothing wrong with that. A lot of people do that. All right, but as soon as you get your little finger involved, it'll get trained to do all sorts of stuff. So all I'm doing is holding a chord down, moving my little finger. So you can't ignore your little finger. So get that little finger involved as soon as you can. Just a suggestion. All right, here we go. So let's talk about chord changes. You want to try to keep your hand close to the guitar this way. You don't want to come off and then make your next chord. So things happen too fast if you're doing that way. The music's going to pass you up. So what are our tricks for chord changes? One is having a pivot point. So for me on this G chord, the way I play it, with that little, I kind of use my little finger to rotate, to hold, keep my position so that I can go to that C chord. Now I'll go back to the G chord. I'm gonna kind of get my little finger again there and know where I am. And then when I go to the D chord, I'm holding my little finger until I get my hand kind of there. And then I'll go back to the G again. I'm gonna start with my little finger. I'm not playing it first. I'm going from the D, but to keep my positional awareness, put my little finger down and then playing the G. So if you're playing your G with your ring finger down here, at that point you want to get your ring finger down and then so have a pivot point for each chord to the next. So from the G chord to the E minor, you just kind of hold on to a note until you're there. You're holding on to that to your C chord, so you got a pivot point right here. Get your ring finger down on the C chord, kind of last second, and then to your D chord. So what I would generally do from this one is kind of use my index finger that's the one that holds it to the last second. All right, so you get something that keeps you in touch with the fretboard, so you're not getting it just takes too long. You can't do it. So don't do it that way. All right. So the other thing we talked about the other night was to give yourself some space. So maybe you're just getting used to it, but you want to play along with the song, and the song is in the key of G, meaning the main chord is G. So just play the G chord, and then maybe the other chords will go along. You're not playing them, but and you know G's coming back, so just, all right. That gives you a lot of space. But what you really want to do is be able to switch from one chord to the next as the song goes along. So song that goes from G to C. So maybe you just play downstrokes for 3 beats and gives you a whole beat to go to the next chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so give yourself some space. So that might look like just playing playing the 1 beat and the 3 beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So when you watch, if you can watch my hand when I do that, not really thinking about it at this stage, but to help you think about it, I got my G, C, D, and when I go back to the G, I'm actually putting my little finger down first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So it gives me that spatial orientation to know. So best thing you do right now, get your hands very comfortable with these chord shapes. And not worry so much about how fast you can get between them, but just making sure you've got them down. And then pick up your speed. But as you start to learn the transitions, give yourself, especially that 4th beat on a 4/4 kind of time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And always remember, your goal is clean tone on every note. See, that last one, I mean, I had plenty of time. I still got a little muty on that last one. So if you can't do it slow and get a clean tone, you're not going to do it fast. So that's your goal. And then the next C chord. And remember, if you've got a weird tone, why is that? Figure out what the problem is. Start one finger at a time. Figure out where you're either bumping into it, your fingers are bumping into the next string, or they're too far away from the fret. Versus so you want that good clean tone. All right. So we got our switching. Don't get too far away from the fretboard. All right, let's learn our new chords for so we're going to learn Folsom Prison Blues, which is in the key of E, but it's a 3-chord song, meaning it's using the 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord. So the scale of E is, so that's our scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is the A, open A string. B, C sharp, and then back to, so B is the 5th, 6th, 7th, and then back to the E note. So the chord progression starts off on the 5 actually. To the E. Very common on songs, they start on a chord that may not be the 1 chord, but when they get to the verse, almost always it's going to be 1 chord. Hear the train a-coming, coming round the bend. I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. Now it's going to go to the 4 chord, very typical, the A. So you can play, I play a little convoluted because my fingers don't fit. You may see it with your index finger. So everything's on the 2nd fret. Index finger on the 4th string, middle finger on the 3rd string, ring finger on the 2nd string. I've never been able to get all those 3 fingers in there, but if your fingers are small enough, that's a way to do it. I end up putting my index finger in the middle of those 3 frets, of those 3 strings, and then middle finger on the 3rd string, 4th string, ring finger on the 2nd string. Remember, it doesn't matter if you're using eggplants to put those strings down. As long as they're down and they're in the right place, you're going to get the good tone. And then the B7 chord, let me show you that. If you know the D7 chord, which Ashley showed us the other day, and you move it up 2 strings, that's going to be a B7 chord. So let's look at the B7 chord. It's an important chord, especially in the key of E. Middle finger on the 5th string, 2nd fret, index finger on the 1st fret, 4th string, ring finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and if you feel brave, put your index finger, which is the way I play it, and you'll get used to it. The pinky finger on the 2nd fret, 1st string. And B note is our low note, so it's a 5-string chord. So in the song, it would go like, starts in the B7, and then goes to the E. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hear the train a-coming, rolling round the bend. I can't live without I don't know when I'm stuck in, that's A chord, prison. Time keeps dragging on. It goes to the 5. But that train keeps a-rolling on down to San and back to the 1. And that's the whole song. If you want to, and you can do whatever you want to do, but a little bit of the E, it's the A, it's the B7, back to E. So commonly the 5 chord will be a 7th chord. In the key of G, the D7, it's kind of anticipation. It's also called the dominant 7th chord because it's the from the 5 chords. So 1, G chord, G, 4 chord, the 5 chord, the D, then back to the 1. Just don't forget our whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half pattern. It's gonna be everywhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the D, back to the G. All right, to sum up, remember, we're always coming back to this for a theory. We got the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then we use those alphabet letters to make a scale, which for a major scale needs to be whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, intervals. Remember, those are the intervals between the notes. So each fret on a guitar, open to the first fret, is 1 fret. And that's a half step. So that's a H. So we can play open, whole, whole, half, whole, 2 frets, whole, 2 frets, whole, 1 fret, half. All right, so we could do because we know where our 1, 4, 5s are, we could actually do a 1, 4, 5 based on that low E string. But a lot of time we don't do it that way. We do it this way. Still a 1, 4, 5. So remember, 4, 5, and those are your chords, which will and then the 12th fret is an octave above the open string. All right, so a little longer. It's hard to keep these short. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll get it posted. See you guys in 2 weeks.